Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off with the final chapter in a good story, and we're talking about the WeCube 64. If you remember, a while back I did a video on this magnificent console. The owner was looking to sell it for $100 or trade it for a POW Kitty. And this thing brought me such joy that I offered to give the owner a POW Kitty for free. In part 2 of this story, the owner reached out to me. They proved it was real, they proved they owned it, and they proved it actually worked. So I went on ahead and ordered them a POW Kitty. In part 3 of this story, we finally closed the book. They received their POW Kitty. I ordered this with my own money. It was not a sponsored deal. I was just very impressed with the entire thing. But moving on, and next up we're shifting from good news to not so good news, and we're talking about TeknoParrot. And it appears that TeknoParrot has just received a DMCA from Taito. So TeknoParrot announced on Twitter that they've recently encountered a significant challenge, a DMCA takedown notice from Taito Corporation targeting content on their servers. They go on to say, this feels like a move driven by motives that go beyond the protection of intellectual property, especially given the lack of any illegal content on our servers. In light of these events, we are taking immediate steps to ensure our project's resilience and continuity. We are transitioning to a self-hosted infrastructure, a move that will safeguard our service against such claims and ensure that there will be no interruption in your access to the history we all cherish. Now, if I understand this correctly, it appears that TeknoParrot is going to take a very similar approach as Suyu did, self-host in an area that can't be impacted by a DMCA. If I had to guess, I would say TeknoParrot is going to continue on. And speaking about continuing on, next up we're talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation with Citra fork Lime 3DS. And Lime 3DS just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, 2106 is the latest update. On top of a bunch of tweaks, they've also updated the default portrait touch control layout on Android to be much more ergonomic. So unless I'm missing something, they've changed the location of the L and R buttons. Here's the old and, well, here's the new. Moving on, and we're talking about Windows emulation on Android with not WinNow, but Winlator, and Winlator just got a brand new update. So Winlator 6.1 has just dropped. If you've got a Snapdragon device, they've updated the Mesa Turnip driver and added turnip configuration. They've also updated Box 86 and 64, implemented XR, virtual reality. They've improved cursor sensitivity, and we've got some other bug fixes and improvements. Next up, we're still talking about Windows emulation on Android, and this time we're shifting over to Mobox. And this is Red Dead Redemption 2 up and running on a Red Magic 9 Pro. It's got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 in it. It is impressive. It's not running that great, but it is running. In my opinion, playing this game on a touchscreen seems pretty painful, but let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I'll drop a link to this video in the description below and feel free to check it out. They've got their exact settings they used on this. And speaking about YouTube, next up we're talking about Did You Know Gaming and Batman and Monolith. And there was a video put out by Did You Know Gaming a couple of years ago, well, 4 years ago to be specific, about a Batman game that was cancelled and turned into Shadow of Mordor. This game was in development for Xbox 360, PS3, and PC, and a whole bunch of footage for the cancelled game has surfaced online. I'll drop a link to a couple of very interesting tweets in the description below, and I do recommend checking them out. Surprisingly, the game was a lot further along than I would have thought. I think this game looks pretty good for being a cancelled prototype. Next up, we're talking about a brand new indie game, and if you're a fan of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, you may be a fan of Castaway. From my understanding, this is not going to be a huge game. There are 3 bosses, and once you beat them, you unlock a survival mode, which is a 50-floor tower. I am very interested in this one. Unfortunately, I don't have a price for you or a launch date, but it is on Steam and you can wishlist it. Next up, we're talking about Roku, and it appears that Roku is filing for a patent for some arguably controversial technology. basically showing you an ad when it detects that you've paused a video or a video game. Based on my understanding, the proposed patent by Roku is to monitor video and audio through HDMI to determine when is the best time to inject ads, basically when you're not doing anything. Furthermore, it appears it's not just about finding the right time to inject an ad, but also the right ad to inject. I don't know about you, but this level of monitoring is not sitting well with me at all. I'm not a big fan of this. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. The article says there's no guarantee Roku will ever do any of this, and I'll drop a link to this article in the description below as well in case you wanted to learn more about it. Next up, we're talking about Crypt of the Necrodancer, and this game has a very interesting collab. It is Hatsune Miku, and this is one collab I didn't expect to see. Now this is paid DLC, and it's a very interesting one at that, and it is on sale. The gameplay for this one is a little bit different as well. They say move in all 8 directions, no shovel, dig by dashing through enemies into walls instead, charm enemies with your new ability, sing, and dance along to 15 Hatsune Miku songs. As far as I know, this DLC is headed to everywhere Crypt of the Necrodancer is, and on Steam right now it's 80% off for the game and 10% off for the DLC. And speaking about Steam, next up, this is a quick one. We talked about this one before and now it's happened. EA has added their anti-cheat to Battlefield 5, and it no longer works on the Steam Deck nor on Linux. Unfortunately, I've got no idea when or even if this game will ever work on Linux again. The whole kicker on this one is that I've got no idea if people are eligible for a refund on it, if they're sitting outside of the refund window. I mean, it would absolutely suck to pay quite a bit of money for this game to enjoy it for a very small period of time for EA to make a change and then you can no longer play it. I am hoping there is some sort of refund system for it. And speaking about refunds, last up here we're talking about a game you probably will never need to refund. And that is Thief on Epic Games. It's currently 100% free. This game was released all the way back in 2014, so it's about 10 years old now, and it's a first-person stealth action game. If you haven't played it before, it might be worth checking out. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.